October is a time for darker, creepier, more spookier themed videos. So this video, I want to talk about the Seven Kingdoms and the Great Spring Sickness. The Great Spring Sickness came to the Seven Kingdoms in 209 AC, or after Aegon's conquest, and it was absolutely awful. And if you're wondering why it was called the Great Spring Sickness, a lot of the victims died in spring, and it was great because it killed a lot of people.
Some, like the Vale of Arryn and Dorne, closed their mountain passes and ports to travelers and weren't affected by the plague. And while the rest of the Seven Kingdoms did suffer from the plague, of course, it was especially bad in the populated cities of the continent, such as Lannisport, which eventually in Lannisport, Tywin Lannister's great-grandpa died. Old Town, it was really bad, and King's Landing honestly was hit the hardest. It was said in King's Landing 4 in 10 succumbed to the disease and died.
The plague hit swiftly. A robust, healthy person could wake up in the morning, and by night, they were dead.
In King's Landing, the High Septon died along with a third of the most devout, and nearly all the Silent Sisters of the city perished. The plague was so rampant in King's Landing that corpses were piled in the ruins of the Dragon Pit until they were 10 feet high. That is insane. Eventually, the pyromancers were ordered to burn the corpses where they lay. They didn't bother with any rituals or ceremony. No, we just need to burn these bodies stacked on top of each other. Unfortunately, when they did this, a quarter of the city went up in flames with the corpses, but it was the only thing they could do to curb the spreading disease, so it had to be done. Imagine you are a peasant, part of the small folk in King's Landing during this time. 4 in 10 people are just keeling over. They're right next to you. There's corpses everywhere. They're piling them high. They're setting them on fire. They're trying to stop this plague. And your home, your area surrounding you is on fire while you're also trying not to die from this plague, while also trying not to starve to death and just, you know, continue on with your life. It was just horrific.
By the way, the Great Spring Sickness was not kind to the Targaryens at all. So anytime anyone gives you that shit about how Targaryens are immune to disease, just point them to the multiple times Targaryens have been taken out by a plague. Now, super resistance to diseases, I believe that.
Anyways, let's not talk about the small folk anymore. Let's talk about the super rich people. Baelor Breakspear's sons died, and King Daeron II Targaryen, called the Good, also fell to the plague after ruling the realm for 25 years. This is super sad because Baelor Breakspear, he was killed, a mishap in a trial by 7, and then his sons could take the throne, but then when his sons died from the plague, it actually passed to Daeron II Targaryen's second son, Aerys I, taking the throne. And I'm really not trying to talk shit on Aerys I, but I feel like we can all agree Baelor Breakspear being the king of the Seven Kingdoms would have been a lot better. Baelor should have ruled. Fucking dunk. The plague would finally die out and summer would come, but the Seven Kingdoms didn't get a break after that. Oh no, the realm was already in chaos from the plague and their king dying when a terrible drought hit out of nowhere for 2 solid years. This drought saw the death of many, many people in the Seven Kingdoms, and the seeds of a rebellion that would make the realm bleed once more were growing very strong during this time. So they just went from one thing causing bloodshed to the next.
Wow, what a great Spooktober video. Have a great fucking day.